I don't feel like doing anything yet.
Sometimes I think of pretty dumb ideas. Sometimes I don't feel those ideas. But in this scenario, I think I have a system. Within JoJo's, there may be multiple number of possibilities. And it got me technically. One of these realities is a part forward like universe where a total like character should exist. Necessary, probably on a rock human the majority of the time. So this video is going to kind of do two things to me. What if slash power scale? If it was a pure natural power scale, yeah, I probably would say straight up as that. But I want to have fun here. You'll see after. So I'm visualizing this hypothetical life happens probably after death.
I need to achieve two things. Get a teleporter and not die.
Most likely something sketchy illegally this time. And possibly small town probably feels threatened by some type of some type of or something sketchy might be pressure, of course, or as said possible at the time. So that means to a certain degree or sometimes I don't know, Josie's options
I hate this. I need Uta.
Urbosa's fury is ready.
Aye. I can see a silhouette. I wasted my food eating that defense buff. You want some?
Rivali's Gale is now...
Got one.
With this vagueness in mind, guess we have yourselves on the sort of reasonably vague and there's never proof limits to it. But going on so, the hand. Downside is, the first stupid and Rock himself winning one time. Just getting crazy now, of course, in this scenario, restoration. Object or
Dong. Death. Go Uta. Yes, I already know what about. Alright, the next this. A sense way, Calamity is just it's unique. It works in tandem. These three concepts. With that being said, technically scalable. There is some type of logic. Now, what happens to time stop during that? Time stop that during after now, in this scenario, but since I want to post about living, I'm probably going to assume that Roman or Jotaro will probably right before it doesn't seem too out of character for these experienced stand users to figure this out. As likely as it is for them to fail it, it's almost likely for them to figure it out right now. I'm probably going to assume this is from Jotaro. It probably says something along the lines of, if you're wrong from us, something along the lines of, just kind of give us the big of what you said, bare minimum enough. Now, this shouldn't activate the ability because it has to be an actual like pursuit, like actually beating up, chase after them, literally. Actually, okay, so they should be activates here, but nothing too wild where they go after them. I am on fire.
Together, they start coming up. They're probably coming up with a plan. There is a chance that they just figure out under the ability. I would just like come on. down to. Really fought it once, test trial, and then all of a sudden everything. And since in this scenario there is technically that time, they could figure out the bare minimums of this stand and giving it. So with all of that known and prep time aside and thoughts together, what do you think? Well, with the bare minimums,
Why am I using the axe? Whoops. Another battery.
Some of the time, but not all the time. Like some
Two batteries. No keys.
They would also probably figure out that Okiyasu really shouldn't do anything. Also, for obvious reasons, he is not the brightest individual and probably has the most deadliest stand out of all of them. Probably lead to some hijinks. In a optimal scenario, Okiyasu is literally acting perfectly fine and doing nothing stupid, which I think is possible if we give him the benefit of the doubt. Or bare minimum, Koichi and Josuke are playing babysitter with Okiyasu, which I think is probably what's most likely going to happen unironically. Which is good because he will be needed later. Spoilers. So how is the hospital fight going to play out? Well, personally, I think this is going to be the last fight they have with Kyo. My reasoning is just like Kira, they have to play to his cards, meaning they have to chase him, but not literally chase. Hell, even by now, I think probably at least one of them. It could probably be even Okiyasu that even thinks of this. Like, make Wonder View and or Toru, but at this time we don't know it's Toru, chase them. Now, that's on the assumption that Toru even wants to come to them. Would he? Probably. My reasoning here is that since Toru at this timeline wants to wipe them out, kind of coming face to face with them, or just, close to them, actually makes sense here. Now, in an actual power scaling way to say this to you guys, Toru should clap, bar none, easy win here. But this is an optimal scenario, so how can they actually win here? Well, just like Kyo and her parts of you have to take a noble sacrifice for the team. I genuinely, and I'm being very truthful here, think at least somebody is dying. I don't think it's Rowan, he's just too greedy. Okiyasu is probably in the background because everybody told him not to use his ability. I don't think Josuke is gonna do it. I just have a feeling he just wouldn't jump into it, even though he's very kind-hearted. I think Koichi might, but I'm looking at Jotaro and I'm just seeing mentor role just stick out like crazy. I genuinely think that Jotaro would try to pull off something, test something out for the betterment of the team. Jotaro would probably maybe pull a Kato with no intent of actually chasing Toru down and kind of symbolizing he's just in his way, so he's just trying to move him out the way. But of course, Kato actually at the very end had the intent to hurt him, so she actually got hurt. So maybe there's something along the lines of that. Jotaro actually gets hit. Not to mention the fact like the big collision that happens when somebody sees Toru probably is going to get solved by either Koichi, the hand, or probably even Josuke if he times it correctly, and Jotaro. So that is not in the way here. I also see Jotaro probably throwing something at Toru. For whatever reason, even fans have come up with this. Technically, objects don't have wills of their own. So if you were to throw a baseball, a rock, a stop sign at Toru, it technically should hit him. Technically, Wonder View, there is a scene.
The last one. Make it count.
Is that he had to block re-hitting. Technically, that means he has to at least, when it comes
This
to
was the only way I could get
defend
through this
himself.
fucking quest.
It should work. Throwing an object at near faster than light speeds, thanks to probably Jotaro himself, it should hit. And if Toru were to die from it,
Give me the damn dad.
Okiyasu is there to finish off the calamity energy that is left over after the death of Toru. Now, thanks to multiverse theory, there is probably a number of ways the Oreo crew can win this fight, but there's also a number of times within this what if alone, and probably an infinite number of timelines where Toru absolutely destroyed it. The amount of times I had to make the executive decision to say, okay, we'll give him some grace here, we'll give him a bit of luck, is kind of crazy. It just kind of shows you that Wonder View is dumb broken. I even thought of a funny scenario where technically Toru could make fun of Josuke's hair, and then Josuke is so blinded by rage, just like in the Rohan fight, where he doesn't see the manuscript that Rohan has for Heaven's Door, and he absolutely just destroys Toru because he's so blinded by rage, he doesn't actually have the will to actually chase him down. It's just blind ignorance and rage that actually takes him out. It's possible, but it's too much of a joke scenario to actually take seriously. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, stay hydrated.
toasty because Twitch, like, auto-mod thought it was, like, offensive or something like that. We've got a capture, which means we're good because none of them activate in the capture, except flies. We win. Enjoy your victory. Okay, it's something related to the flies. I guess you could say they're buggy. I didn't set up the prices to change based on... No, okay, you just can't spawn flies in that room. 2 points. 2 points on the chat. Wow, it doesn't crash on flies anymore. Incredible. Whoa. Wait, a boss fight is not the right time to fill it with flies.
Alright, speed is key here.
There's so many flies.
Speed is the only way.
Being flies.
I need defense. I have 5 minutes. Never mind. I forgot about that fact.
Amethysts dating advice while getting consumed by giant flies. YouTube won't get the context. Are you a beaver? Cause, damn. Are you from Tennessee? Cause you're the only 10 I see. Hey, my name's Microsoft. Can I crash at your place tonight? DSS?
What?
Okay, here. Can everyone spam jump? I want to see if we can do DSSS. Dino skip. Yeah! There you go. Dino
Level 2 shouldn't be until a little farther.
Okay, you can stop now.
I might be able to get another piece of the
Just give me
armor.
the checkpoint, we got it. See? This is what happens when we coordinate. We can have ultimate power.
I can get rid of the Guardian Resistance and get the chest.
What? Huh?
But this is all up to fate.
What have you done? I've never seen this
God.
happen before. Madam Brood, are you okay? You need some help. You rolled me. One of you triggered a roll and it just bumped me right into him. Please. No! We did it again. But you guys keep doing this. Hey, my name's Super Mario Odyssey Online Multiplayer. Can I crash your place tonight? I'll do slots, why not? What could go wrong in slots? Oh my god! You legend! You threw Cappy for me at the perfect time!
Oh!
It actually got up! That was not
Just run.
why. What just happened? So many inputs from chat, God. That's just like a supercomputer, but it's a supercomputer run by like toddlers, so it's like you have constant input and it works faster than like any other computer brain could, but it's also really dumb. So like, it may not be making good choices, but it is making them a lot of them. Are you a lion? Cause I pick you up. This is terrible, I hate this. This is the worst thing I've ever done. Alright, y'all. Jump. That's not
Okay, so Death Mountain is actually literally the most dangerous place in this mod. Oh yeah, car oxy.
Come on, chat.
I've never picked that up before, I just know for a fact it's a car
Spam
oxy.
jump. Follow you as fast as you can, each person redeeming it constantly. Just jump. You need a lot of jumps.
The heavy weapon spinning tactic doesn't help that much.
Oh, we were so close.
Just go!
Come on. Just
Fuck.
spam it like your heart depends on it. Go! Yeah!
Yes, I think that worked.
I'm gonna go into deep woods just because I want to see the net with all of you guys spamming stuff. Okay, we have a net. Incredible. Nethead.
I swear to God.
Give it up for Nethead. Would you rather sleep on top or the bottom of the bunk bed? Give it up for Wooden.
What does that even mean?
Can I get a source for green Amy? I don't know what that means, but sure, I can make myself green. We're just gonna stream like this, no one will notice, right? Blue Amy is better? We're not just gonna go through all the colors, okay? Alright, chat. Favorite color? What's your favorite color? Tell me. This is what we're talking about now. Blue, cyan, purple, green, blue, olive green, amethyst color, purple, pink, rainbow animation now. Purple, blue, yellow, purple, black, seafoam green, blue has to be blue, dark blue, scarlet, cyan. You know, sure, your favorite color can be blood. No, so many flies.
Please.
The gift sub to Emerald S. Yes, Magnus. For you, Carbon, because I'd love to date you.
No.
Incredible. So, we need lore for this, right? Because, like, there's strong YouTube video potential from this stream. How did this happen? Because, like, chat's controlling Mario's limbs. And also...
That's worthless.
Flies. There's lots of flies everywhere. Eva learned voodoo. Mario put his hand in an electric socket. I love the idea of Mario just like... Okay, can I... For the intro of the video, can I just animate like a 5-second clip of Mario sticking a fork in an electric socket and just getting like electrocuted with like Twitch? And that, like, blows a hole in the wall and just a bunch of flies fly in. That's my idea. Can I capture him? That's so terrible. No. Oh, that's... I hate that. That's so bad. So we're just not gonna save Cappy. Because I don't feel like it. Cappy is, like, kind of a terrible piece of crap, and we're gonna leave Cappy to perish forever.
Fuck, whatever.
And, oh, that was almost cool. Alright, we need some jumps. That's not jumping. Jump. No. An excuse to get... Okay. I'm proud of it. Oh, that was almost good. Whoop. Ow. No! Like, I hate Cappy, like, a lot. I should have suspected that would happen. Oh, right, we can't warp the checkpoints without Cappy. No. Oh, great long jump. What the... Can we get a small bit of an instant replay? We're leaving Cappy. If you see Cappy up there screaming for help, he's not. He actually really likes the bird. And it's a nice experience for the bird. So yeah. If he just wants attention, yeah, he's screaming in pleasure. Please don't worry like that. I'm really excited for the stuff I've been doing for the YouTube lately. Next weekend there will be a video of this stream, and then the week after that is like big project reveal stuff.
No thanks. Alright, how much are the boobs? I need 4,000 more. $5,000. 500. 800.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
What?
We're not going in that door. We need jumpers. Yeah. Good, good. Just lots of jump. Keep jumping. Don't stop jumping. Yeah! All the way up. To the top. Too high. We've got high enough. Yeah. Can we do jump rope? Can I trust you guys to let me do jump rope? No, but I'm gonna try anyway. How long can I go? That's wise. And we've rolled. We'll try one more time. Be better behaved. I don't know. Doesn't seem good to me. Last try. If you guys fail this, you lose existence privileges. See? This is no. Double bonk and the fly, no good. Alright. Can I climb this without getting knocked off? This is a great start. This jump is such a bad idea, because there's like so many ways you guys can. I didn't even get to make the jump. Just... Skill, coordination, long jump. Skill.
Alright, if I sell everything, I can afford it. Let's do this.
What the fuck? Guys, this is
Totally
not
worth it. It's not like I'll ever be able to use these for armor upgrades anyway.
Mario.
Or weapon crafting for that matter.
It's beautiful. This is how scooters should work from here on out. Are you the Nintendo Switch Pro controller? Because I'd like to speedrun nipple percent with you tonight.
What?
I'll give you the one bit of dating advice that you'll ever need in your life. Alright? You'll never ever need to learn anything more about dating ever again after this moment. Oh wait, no, there's an ad. I forgot about the ads. I can't give dating advice. No. Oh god. No, Rango, no.
Cool.
Rango! Yeah, bye, Rango.
Worth it.
Okay. Be respectful to people. People are people, and you have to...
I want more speed buff thingies. But also, I'm gonna go back, actually. I wanna go grab some lizards.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, chat. I hate to break the news to you now, but I'm actually 1,322 years old. I can't believe you're over 1,000 years old and still suck at SMO. Why do you shut up? That's not very nice.
You're on fire.
Okay. There's one thing I've always wanted to do. It's like, it's one of my, like, weird bucket list things. I really want to buy a house, and I want to replace the carpets, and, like, while I'm replacing the carpets, like, sprawl some, like, weird cryptic message, like, on the floor below the carpet, and then sell the house, and then just, like...
Fuck. Come on.
When other people buy the house, they're just, like, replacing the carpets themselves.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
They just find, like, pentagrams and, like, cryptic messages and, like, dates with, like, different weird symbols next to them. And, like, that's what I want to do. I don't... It's just one of my life goal things. Yeah, you gotta make it super ugly carpets. They have extra reason to replace it. It's a flash. Oh my god, you put coordinates to, like, a hidden flash drive with every girl. Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, here, I'm just gonna... You know what? We've started talking about it. Weird bucket list things for me. Or, like, things that I couldn't do, but I want to do. I want to attend my own funeral. I don't want anyone to know that I'm there, but, like, I would love to go to my own funeral and just, like, see what happens. Because it's just, like, such a weird idea.
Oh, you mean like you're gonna fake a death or something?
Not overshot. Please stop with the dives. No. Not the dives. There we go. Whoa! That was big. Big dive.
Whatever, let's do this.
There we go.
Let's see if you'll
I've
give
been
me
so
the
tempted to
lagging
do one of those,
still.
like, only 18% of people are subscribed bits. But I also don't like doing that. So, it's like, but did you know that only 17% of people on YouTube are subscribed? Ugh. Have I ever sued someone? No, I haven't. Dating advice. Don't ask someone to go with you to the school dance in front of their boyfriend. This time. Jump. My people. Jump. 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 This is good. We're doing great. Just keep jumping. Do not stop jumping. Yup. This is good. Chat is broken, but that's fine. Just keep jumping. Just keep jumping. Up, higher, even further beyond, into the stratosphere, up and away. Okay, you can stop now. We're good. We got the height. Yeah! Mario, fly! Wireless ruined! That was glorious. Thank you for all the jumps. Does the dragon have a name? That's actually a good question. I have no idea. You named the dragon Edward. It's Eve. So far, Edward is my favorite name. The Ruined Dragon, also referred to as the Lord of Lightning. Right now, I've lost so many channel points I can't afford rent anymore. That's not good. A little bit of spam the jump. Jump, jump, jump. Come on, jump. Get them jumps. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Or burn. Burn might actually be better than jumps. But it's a lot more expensive, so maybe not. Okay. No, I missed.
Bullshit.
Alright, that was a me issue. We're taking the Pokemon. Are you from Mississippi?
I thought he gave the legs.
Mississippi. Oh, that's so bad. Nope. I hate that. We need
Now
jumps.
I have a worthless spare.
Even just a couple jumps will do, I think. Yep, good. Just keep doing that. Do a lot of jumps? Well, okay, hold on. No, you can't do too many jumps. We'll hit the checkpoint eventually, I swear. Oh hey look, some of the flies are gonna come with me into the chapel.
Hello there.
We're gonna fly into the chapel. It's hilarious. Slowly on the floor. Like, alright, I'm going in now. I've got a wedding to go to. Just give it some time. We'll hit the checkpoint. Just give it a sec. We're going to the checkpoint right now.
Okay, I died.
We're getting closer and closer to the checkpoint at every passing moment. The camera turn was just what happens when you get close to a checkpoint. God, a 6. Oh my god.
Alright, you got some extra fireproof lizards from Beetle.
Shoot, got time for the roll. Actually, no, that's fine. We got it. No! That was such a good slide. How did I go, like, straight to the left onto the fly and crash? See, right onto the right onto the checkpoint. Ah, checkpoint.
Yeah!
Home, sweet.
Hey! Ah!
Checkpoint!
Oh.
Wait, I got the heart! I'm too late. No. Alright, come on, come on, come on, come on. Screw it up. No one screw it up. No one screw it up.
Butterflies are good
Screw it
too.
up. Here, we'll end off the run with a pickup line. Just to really start it off. Welcome back to another episode of
I'm saying the legs here.
Are you two Joy-Cons? Because I'd like for you to slide into my grip tonight. GG's. 2 hours, 48 minutes, 23 seconds, and a good run. That was awful. That was... Are you Cappy? Because I sit on here. No, I give up, no.
So the defense is useless.
Oh.
Actually, I'll teleport here to get my upgrades and then... I'm wasting my Sheikah batteries.
Hello, and welcome everybody to a very special episode of the Ian and Oceans cast. By the way, hi Ian. Quick introduction this time. Hi. Hi. Poor pitiful Oceans fans. You thought a JoJo podcast which features Zenrato? But it was I, Ian Waffles.
Nice.
So I guess we owe y'all an explanation because I think most people expected this to be the MHA video. But I don't know if you've seen the news, but MHA is kind of poopy right now. So poopy in fact that you
I only need one.
We were going into the past and you said sports festival. So, oh shit, yeah, it's Culture Fest. And you like Culture Festival. I love Culture Festival, but yeah, I'm not in the mood to talk about MHA anymore, at least for the next couple of days, yeah. So, in the meantime, yeah, go ahead. No, you tell your story, you're the star here this time. So basically, yeah, I was feeling a bit bummed about MHA. I was feeling in a sad, depressed boy mood. You know, I got all my volumes, you know, threw them around the room. I you know, hit him with the keyblade. And it was bad. And then I thought, what's a series that could, you know, fix this? What's a favorite of mine? And I thought JoJo's. And I said, wait, I haven't watched JoJo's, but I know someone who has. Ocean Man. And so yeah, basically, I've always wanted to watch JoJo. But it's very long, and so it's one of those things where it just kind of feels like a behemoth you don't know how to tackle. But when you can turn it into content, now that's a different story, and talk about it with your buddy. So that's been my goals. We're going to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I am a complete newbie to this, whereas Ocean Man, obviously, if you watch his channel, he kind of likes it. So we're going to discuss it, and he's going to guide me, a noob, through JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and give me the right takes. So, you know, let's do this. Yes, I am take corrector Oceans. Yes, exactly. So,
Alright, so we will be looking at the first 3 parts in this video, which some of you may know as the Mask Saga or the Dio Saga. So, part 1, Phantom Blood. Do you remember what your first impressions were when you sort of jumped into this?
yeah. So my first impressions were that I really liked the color palette. The fact that there was this fallen carriage, and it's like, alright, this could be just like dark, moody atmosphere, but instead it's purple, or whatever the hell it was.
Purple.
So I enjoyed that. And then as soon as Dio kicked the dog, I knew I was going to like him. So yeah, my first impressions were pretty strong. To show my hand real quick, I think these first 3 episodes are the best part of part 1.
Yes, I agree. It's cool that you mentioned the color palette, because that's one of those big things about the anime. I mean, now you've watched further, so you also know that. They really love to play with colors, and it's something that Araki, the author, encourages continuously, as he has iterated and sort of voiced many times that to him, there are no canon colors in JoJo. If the scene needs the sky to be purple, it's gonna be purple.
Which is awesome.
Yes, it is one of the best parts about the adaptation, in my opinion, just the way they take that vibe and translate it. Like, I'm gonna say that a few times, I think, in this video today, but I think JoJo's adaptation is a great example of not necessarily a faithful adaptation, but one that really captures sort of the vibe of the original source material. And
Hey, there are more
succeeds even when
pumpkins
it changes
already.
things from the manga. Okay, so, you're in Phantom Blood. Did you know, or did you expect, that this story about a Victorian rivalry was just gonna turn into a vampires fest? Were you aware of that?
I did in fact know that, but what I
A
didn't
vampire
expect
shit
was
fest.
that I would appreciate, I want money and I'm gonna make out with your girlfriend, Dio, a lot. I think, Dio and Jonathan in this first 3 episodes, were pretty great. I loved them both. And while I knew it was gonna get crazy, I was very happy that we actually sat in just petty rivalry over getting money turned into I'm gonna kill daddy. So yeah, no, I knew where it was gonna go, but I was not bored having to sit through before it got weird, if that makes sense.
What the heck is going on with my...
Because, I don't know if you remember that trend on, like, anime YouTube or anime fandoms, where they used to say that, oh, you need to give every series 3 episodes, right? The 3-episode rule.
Yeah.
And I always found it so funny that JoJo takes exactly 3 episodes for it to really get into, like, the main plot.
Whoa.
But those 3 episodes are still supremely enjoyable by themselves.
Mithra
it's just
sure
oh, yeah,
likes
this is
showing
a
off her
Victorian
ass.
story, and wow, why are Dio and Jonathan so huge suddenly? And what? Vampires?
Yeah. I will say that I think, with part 1, I think, well, this is not a hot take, but I think, with part 1 especially, it is only bizarre insofar as, yes, if I lived in the late 1800s and vampires appeared, that would be pretty bizarre. But, you know, but as an anime, I think the most bizarre part of it is the way it is, framed to you. The way you have, like, Dio doesn't just get out of the carriage and kind of stoically come out, he, like, anime poses out, and then, like puts his hands up to his face, and it says, like, swing, or whatever. So I definitely think, like, the presentation overall, especially these first couple episodes, are really good, and I liked how just...
I'm really surprised
absurd
no
it
one's
is in
calling part
that
1
aspect.
boring
Like,
yet.
I love the scene of, it's the second episode, it's
Oh,
like
no,
7
wait.
years later, and this is after he killed the dog.
How much will it
And
cost
the
if I sell?
narrator guy is like, Dio and Jonathan, best friends forever. Two
whatever.
peas in a pod, those 2 best friends. It's crazy how far they've come when you really think about it. And then they team up and they win the sport or whatever. And they're like, oh, Dio, my brother. It's like, oh, Jonathan, my bro, oh bro. And then it goes into like Dio says like, I hate that son of a bitch. What a douche! I'm gonna take his money. And then Jonathan's like, ah, you little stinker. Man, Dio, you sure suck for killing my dog, and I'll never forgive you. Like, I love that vibe. It's pretty fun.
Good, because what if I told you that actually the anime cuts out quite a bit of, like, pre-vampire Dio shenanigans?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so this is a thing mostly with part 1 and 2, where the anime because they wanted to fit the first 2 parts into the sort of one season, they cut out quite a bit of stuff.
Okay.
And in part 2's case, I think they only cut out bad stuff. So, you know,
okay.
pretty good. They cut out like random fights that really don't need to happen because it's just, I mean, it's more Joseph, which is fun, but it's not like important for anything besides just filling the space. But in part 1, they do cut out some shenanigans with like pre-vampire Dio and Jonathan. There's a whole thing about like Jonathan's treasured bar of chocolate that Dio mischiefs around with.
Okay.
And also like how this sort of whole thing with Jonathan and Erina when they're still young and sort of their dating thing is a bit more elaborate in the manga by comparison.
Yeah.
And then this is going a bit
I'll get
further
another
than the first
forest
3
dweller
episodes,
bow.
but
But I
Jonathan's
don't
Hamon training
need to use a
is
lot of my armorants,
a
which I
bit
was
more
gonna use
substantial
to.
in the manga. Yeah.
Now I'll
Yeah.
get another bow in
So it's
time.
interesting to mention that you enjoy sort of pre-vampire Dio time, because yeah, I've always thought that it was kind of a shame that they cut out so much, but at the same time, it's sort of like it's very clear they wanted to get to the crazy stuff, and so they really streamlined it quite a bit.
Well, I think it also, it's just paced really well. Like, I think the way they did that was a good idea for, like, an anime. Because, by the end of the first episode, you know, you've got all this crazy stuff, and I thought, okay, well, this was fun. I love seeing Dio murder a dog. But, I don't know if this will be fun for, like, a couple more episodes of just them being petty. So when it was, like, 7 years later, they're best of friends. I fucking hate you. Like, that gave a new shit. It's like, okay, now they're older, they have new social dynamics. Dio's kind of assimilated into the family, and then that ends with, you know, going to see Speedwagon and all that stuff, and then the 3rd episode is the crazy vampire antics or whatever. I think it's around that time.
Yes.
So I felt like it escalated properly from an episode to episode standard, if that makes sense. So I think that it was probably a good idea. Now I'll have to go check. Maybe the chocolate stuff was peak, but you know, it seemed like they did a good job.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, and this is specific to the dub, I think Jonathan's voice actor really brings through, like, that kind of innocent guy voice, but also, like, someone who will fucking beat the crap out of you if you steal his chocolate.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I watched the dub for all these anime, for anyone who wants to know. And yeah, I think Jonathan, I know obviously he's probably everyone's least favorite, and he's my least favorite JoJo, but I don't think he's least favorite in a way that, like, he's the worst, like, he's lame. Like, I like Jonathan through and through. I like Good Boys, and I think his voice actor especially gives him that appeal. It gives him the Japanese voice for Goku appeal of, like, the big giant man, and he's like, So you got Jonathan walking around, and I just love in the opening where it's like that dramatic shot of him walking upstairs, and you can just imagine him being like, Dio, you meanie boo meaning, I have, and I'm gonna shove it right up your mouth. So, you know, he's really endearing, and I like him a lot. I like that he's a good boy, you know, he sees that frog, he's like, don't punch the frog, and then he's like, oh, the frog's good. You know, he loves his dog, they want to go on adventures, you know, he respects women, but not enough, because he only protect her because she's a woman that throws her out of love. Yeah, no, I think Jonathan's cool. I like his, and I think he fits the vibe of what the show is going for. And Dio, obviously, has that great contrast of getting the best out of Jonathan. So yeah, no, I think Jonathan's really cool. I think the voice acting adds. I think the voice acting really adds to Dio. It's like Endeavor's best, right?
Yes, that's Patrick Seitz.
Yeah, he does a great job. I love everything
Oh,
he says.
Dio is Endeavor.
Yes. I think,
Nice.
I mean, you know, the JoJo dub is a little controversial, because of course they have to abide by the copyright changes.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously the Japanese voice actors, they can just say, Killer Queen instead of Deadly Queen. But I genuinely love the JoJo dub, and I think no matter who you are, Patrick Seitz as Dio is one of the best, like, casting choices
Yeah,
I've
it's super
seen
sad with the
in ages.
censorship, but
It
it's
just
still
works.
great.
Oh yeah.
It would have been better if they could say the copyrighted names, but it's still great regardless.
Stalking her on screen, your eyes are magnetized to him, you're encapsulated. But I love the little scene with Dio where
Rivali's Gale is now
Jonathan's
ready.
like, all right,
Pull the battery.
Ego Beanie, swear on your dad's honor. He's like, fuck, I hate my dad. I can't do it. Damn it. That's what like gets him to be caught. It's just the fact that he can't even lie about his dad being cool, which is really funny and really petty. Like, maybe do people like that Dio's goal is to just get money? Because I think that's great. I love that he's just this
Oh,
poor
shit.
kid, and then he comes into this family who's been.
When did the spell not show up?
First day on the job, he's like, you'll regret that, old man. It's going to be my cool house to give to other people, but I won't give it to other people because it is me, Dio.
Well, to answer your question, people are generally very on board with Dio just being Dio, the way he did part 1 and then part 3. The thing with Dio is that he's a character that are often returns quite a lot. Be it through like associations or through direct, presence and flashbacks. So he does get more complex, sort of retroactively. But then, they released Dio's Diary as like a standalone book for you, which basically sort of summarizes him as I learned in the subs that the best way to live is to just take
Spell
stuff
not has
from everyone.
hops.
So that's what I'm gonna do. Fuck everyone else. Get rich. Chase the bag.
Well, I think I was able to get that just from his characterization in part 1. Just with something as simple as like he's smart enough to beat a guy at chess or whatever, and then when he wins, he's like, he's spaghetti nerd. He's okay, I'll take my $10. Like he feels superior because he is superior to a lot of people. But then also he's been treated like crap for trying to better himself. So now he's in a position where he can better himself, and the system won't be able to fight back against him because he can use all of his charisma in a setting that would work. So Jonathan's kind of a threat for that. So no, I definitely at least understood where he was coming from, even if it's over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, as I said, there is more added to him, especially sort of through part 6, which sort of deals a lot with sort of the fallout of Dio existing in the first place. And you get a lot of substance to like his plan. But that's for you to find out going forward. But generally, yes, people are very on board with Dio just being a nasty whore and loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's deliciously evil. He loves it.
Yes,
He loves the spaghetti now that he can make it himself.
yes.
Put your dog into it and eat it. That's still the best part to me, is that he just put the dog in the inferno, and that one man just didn't pull him out. Like, dude, yeah, job. And like he doesn't even think it's a dog, he thinks it's a person. He's like, oh no, I just now turned on the fire, and someone is making noises. There's probably a person in there. Well, I should probably not do anything about it. Well, deserves to be fired.
Well, you wouldn't have the rise of being quite as spicy as it was if he had pulled Danny out of the incinerator. So
I mean, to be fair, he's probably not getting paid enough. He's not invested in the dog.
But yeah, so okay. The big question that everyone in the comments probably is like begging for me to ask is, what did you think of Speedwagon?
Speedwagon. Okay. So here's probably my first hot take. I thought it was the most annoying part of part 1.
Damn it, folks, we didn't get him. Mission failed.
Let me give you an example of what I mean. By Jove, he punched Dio in the face with a right hook on the side in which his eye was blinded. That man is a man among men, fighting the demons of hell. In fact, he might have ascended past that. He punched him in the face. Oh my gosh, is life even worth living now? No, it has to be, because the Joestars are the goodest of good boys. I've seen it. And then Dio will go, huh? He goes, huh? What does he mean by huh? I can't believe he took that hit to the face like he did. If he's not dead, then I'm the Queen's Queen Beans, chicken nugget. Like, oh my gosh, please die and stop talking. So that's my opinion of Speedwagon.
Very, very original, because he's probably besides Dio the most popular character from part 1.
Why?
Because people love him. And I personally, I just love his introduction so much that it carries him for the rest of the part.
He has a
Where
good
it's like-
introduction.
Yeah, where it's like, Jonathan, we're gonna rob you. Wait, you didn't kill my friend? Okay, you're my friend now.
No, and then
Nice.
he becomes the biggest fangirl of the Joestars, like when Jonathan's dad died. Jonathan's dad is great. I don't think probably no one ever talks about him. That dude is a champ and the goodest boy. Or like freaking Dio's dad, like still his wife's whatever, and he's like, well, this man saved me, and if he did steal my ring, he probably had a good reason, and he was probably in a bad situation. Here, take the ring and pay it forward. So I was on Team Speedwagon, and he's like, the Joestars are the kings of men themselves. God should bow before them. They're so kind and good-hearted. Wait, but he's dying. Well, you know what? Jonathan carries on that spirit. We shouldn't be weeping. It's the future in the hands of Jonathan, and it's done. So, like, I get it, Speedwagon. They're cool guys. But he didn't stop, and I need him to stop.
Well, you know, he dies at the end of part 2.
Thank goodness.
Hey, you know, he dies bachelor, having made the Speedwagon Foundation, which, I don't know if you've caught on to that. The Speedwagon Foundation is kind of the money magic explanation whenever the Joestars need anything.
Oh,
in,
and
like,
it's a good idea, and I love what the fan community I saw is that Speedwagon has the strongest stand, which is the Speedwagon Foundation.
Yes, that he has a stand that the fans have dubbed "I Can't Stop Loving You."
Yeah.
Because it will forever support Jonathan. It's super sweet as an idea.
No, I love the Speedwagon Foundation anytime they're just like, cause I think that's just fun in like spy movies or things, or where there are rich characters involved, where it's just like, four characters who have rich ties, where it's just like, oh man, we need like $1 million. Well, don't worry, I'll call my friend. And then like one of the characters like, you have a friend who can just give you $1 million?
It's like, shit, we need a submarine. Don't worry, Polarat. The Speedwagon.
Yeah, the Speedwagon Foundation will fix it.
Okay. But yeah, Speedwagon is generally very popular, and I think for a lot of people, it is really just that introduction and that bond with Jonathan to the point where, I don't know, I guess, I personally never was that bothered by his narration, although, you know, it is undeniable, he really is just sort of the fighting game commentator for everything that happens.
Yeah, maybe if I was, you know, I like Jonathan. Maybe if I liked Jonathan as much as Speedwagon, like we'd be in it together, you know?
Maybe.
Like I'd be cheering alongside him. I'd be like,
Urbosa's
yeah,
fury
dude,
is ready.
like that was pretty sick. I'd be like, tell me about it. I want to know. I thought it once, but I want to feel it again. But yeah, no, I mean, all joking aside, I don't hate Speedwagon, but I don't like Speedwagon.
That's fair enough. That is
I like his hat. His hat's very cool. I like that it's a deadly machine. And I do like, and I agree with you. I like his introduction. I just think after the fact, when he appeared in part 2, I was very, very sad. and when at the very end, they were like, "Here's where everyone went," I literally had my picture up. And Speedwagon died. I'm like, yes! Oh, the Joestars!
Oh, come on, it's not that part 2 though, is it? What is he present for? In part 2 he's present for like the final fight, right?
No, actually he is kind of bad, because he's with the Nazi section where he's like,
oh yeah,
he's a demon among demons, a Nazi demon, just like you Nazi man demon. And they're like, bro, like, he's like, not even a Nazi man demon, I'm a Nazi man demon. Like, you don't even know that, how did he hear us? We're in the room. But that must mean, if that means this, then what? Oh, no, not happening again. Joseph, save me.
He will, but first we have to wrap up part 1. So, okay, we got the first 3 episodes down. Dio's a vampire. You know, they have to fight the mansion. And, yeah, sort of part 1. What do you think in terms of, like, fights and, like, action? With, like, Hamon and everything.
Hamon is fine. It's basically just, you know, and if I'm understanding it properly, I'm sure there's more nuance to it, but the way it's mostly used in fights seems to be you either apply Hamon to make it like stronger, or like so you can grab it, that kind of stuff, or you use it to basically kind of almost create like kinetic energy, like kinetic force.
I don't need to
And that
teleport.
either gives you like strength or it pushes things faster.
Let's
So
run!
it's just like you're just imbuing energy into things, and it can do kind of whatever you want it to. Not like it can transform or whatever, which maybe I'm misremembering. But it usually just seems to be like apply speed, apply force, apply defense.
I am
that
speed.
kind of stuff. Right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, what Hamon also can do is it can sort of change your body and make it more flexible. But the anime, I think, cuts out most of the attacks that involve that. So you're forgiven for not remembering that. Because I don't know, do they even do the zoom punch in the anime? Do you remember?
Yes, one
I
time.
don't remember, but I don't know if that's I don't know if maybe I just forgot it.
The zoom punch is where Jonathan and Zeppeli dislocate all of their bones in their arm to sort of stretch their arm and have further reach with Hamon.
Hello.
Oh, that sounds awesome, but I don't remember.
Okay,
Wrong.
I think they do it maybe once, but it might be sort of a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, come on in general, like, I think it was just fine. It was just like, we have energy powers now, pretty cool. I liked the way he explained it, where he's like, I'm gonna murder this frog. Haha, joke's on you. I didn't even touch the frog.
Why?
I broke the frick beneath it.
There was
that was cool. That was like a cool visualization.
There was backup waiting. That was they were bait for this ambush. Joke's on you, it's not working.
The idea of the breathing aspect, and then it's kind of like sunlight, where, I don't know if it's just Joseph who has it, but does Jonathan also have, like, the
give me another
sunset
one.
overdrive punch or whatever?
Yes, he has the overdrive attacks as well. He only uses each of them, I think, once, but he does have like 5 of them.
Yeah,
like
which is cool. Like, I like that kind of stuff, because it just looks good. Like, I like the energy effect, where it doesn't just look like, Super Saiyan glow. Like, it has kind of little, if I'm remembering correctly, there's kind of like little sparkles in it, like it's sunlight, you know? Like, it's refracting and stuff. So I think just in general, like, Hamon,
This rain is annoying.
It's cool. But as far as the fights go, nothing stood out to me too much that I can think of. I think the best fight would have to be in the mansion.
Oh, hey.
Where they're like falling and they're doing, you know, he's like, he positions him over the little statue or whatever. And they're really invested there. And then obviously, I would say the final fight with Dio and Jonathan is pretty good. You know, barring Speedwagon. So,
Yes.
but yeah, no, like the fights were just kind of fine. Like they had the typical kind of shonen thing of like, maybe not typical for the time, but yeah, the thing of like the noble warrior who is just like, I will you let me attack you, but why? Well, I knew you were good at heart and you wouldn't kill me. It's like, whoa, you're so cool, I'll let you kill me, you know, that kind of thing. And then you have the other guy who's just like, I don't care, I just want to fight, baby. You kind of have that duality.
Yeah, and I think it's very good that you bring up sort of the time, because obviously Phantom Blood is at this point 35 years old as a story.
Jeez.
And so it's also sort of interesting to sort of think about the ecosystem it was made in, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's very clearly kind of a rip-off of Fist of the North Star in terms of sort of the style and the appeal of it. Especially
Nice
the
job with the
manga
pronouns.
really feels like Fist of the North Star, but drawn slightly worse.
Hey.
Yeah, part 1's art is really rough. The anime really changes the art style quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I would imagine Araki didn't have his JoJo style defined by part 1, so...
No, he still hasn't defined it. Like, it constantly changes.
Yeah.
To give you an example, part 4, in the manga, the first chapter of part 4 looks like part 3. But then the final chapter of part 4 looks like the anime of part 4. And that transition happens like very incrementally, where Josuke goes from just Jotaro with different hair to, you know, the very effeminate looking character from the anime. And then, you know, you get Giorno and Jolene and all the other characters.
They're all
looking
really scared,
more
I
and
don't
more
know
sort of
why. All I'm
thin
doing is
and
cutting.
female. Whereas, you know, part 1 and 2 and 3 especially are kind of like, oh yeah, this is just a refrigerator with a head on top of it.
Yeah.
This is my character.
And he's 15.
Yes, he's 15. Because Jonathan and Dio are 22 when Phantom Blood happens, if I remember correctly.
That more or less checks out for me.
Yeah. Okay, so we got sort of the main fights and everything happening. What do you think of Zeppeli and sort of his presence in part 1?
I feel like he's the same as Hamon, where I'm just kind of like, you're fine. Like, I like your silly hat. I kind of like I always like these types of training things that are just so ludicrous, where it's like, carry this cup of coffee and don't let a single drop touch air. Like, I don't know. So he has the little mission where it's like, take the wine glass and, go beat the guy. So I kind of like that aspect of him and how he was very upfront about, like, the stakes and the danger. I like his sacrifice. I like his little backstory where, like, he knew this was coming, but he was like, that's fine, it's for the greater good. Didn't he have a family that he left behind, too?
Yes. Well, that's... I mean, that's the whole thing, because in part 2 you got his grandson, right?
Yes,
Caesar.
Yeah, that's right.
So, one anecdote to that is that when the chapter originally came out, he actually says, Jonathan, you're like the son I never had. And then by the time part 2 rolled around, Araki had to fix that, go back to the volumes and change it, because he realized, uh-oh, that doesn't work.
Well, that's funny. Well, I'm glad he changed it, at least. Instead of just being like, he was joking. Anyway, but yeah, no, Zeppeli is fine. Like, I like him more than Speedwagon, which is much of a compliment to him, so I'll say I like him more than, on the totem pole, I would say it's like, Jonathan, Dio, Zeppeli, everybody else.
Nice.
But he's good. Like, he's doing his thing. When he died, I was like, oh, what a cool guy.
Yeah, and enhanced by the whole, the way sort of the ending song ties into that moment when he does the sacrifice, right? We just get the slow first notes of Roundabout playing.
Yeah, he was good. So I don't have strong feelings on him, but he was good. So,
alright, so, what do you think of the ending of part 1?
I really, really, really like it. I think that's where it hit the highs of the first 3 episodes again. Because, especially with just, like, how petty Dio is that he's still ahead, and he's like, I'm gonna ruin your boat marriage. Kill everybody and turn them into zombies. This will be really fun. I got my little gremlin boy to help me. The fact that he, like, designed a coffin with, like laser beams or something. Or, like, he has laser beams and he's got vein attacks that he can attack you with. I just thought the vibe of it was really good, and especially my favorite part, what I think makes Jonathan just a good character. Not just like, he's a good character, he's a good boy, is when he, his way of defeating Dio is that he's just gonna hold him and die with his brother. Because he's still, he still lived with him all that time, so there is still some amount of care. And I thought that was really good, and I thought the ending was cool. I liked the big explosion, and I liked the, also just again, what makes Jonathan a good boy is he's like, well, normally I'd let you die with me and my wife, because I was pretty dope, but you got us, but haha, joke's on you, you're also a good person, so you have to save that baby. She's like, shit! So, and so they do that, and like, Jonathan's a cool guy, I like him. I just like the imagery of, like, the coffin floating in the ocean, so, obviously I knew Dio was gonna come back, but I liked that as an ending to Jonathan's story, and regardless, he did succeed in the long term. Even if he didn't end up defeating him there, he protected the world for, like, 100 years, and then also set it up so that he could be defeated later by weakening his, body and all these things, so. Yeah. I liked the ending. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think I've never met anyone who doesn't like Jonathan's sacrifice, because it's so fitting, right? Because he's such a kind and sweet boy, and the way he defeats ultimate evil is to embrace it, and just be like, the two of us, as we always do.
And embrace the part of it that is human, which is that you're my brother. Which is cool.
Yeah.
God damn
and,
it.
One thing that I've always appreciated,
good thing I saved.
again, sort of about the dub, although I think the sub does it as well, when Dio realizes that Jonathan's dead, you can hear that shock in his voice. It's not just, ugh, the idiot has died. It's like, good God, what if? It brings that feeling of a connection there between the two, right at the end. I like that kind of stuff, where it's like,
Maybe if I teleport.
literal moments before oblivion, where you realize what could have been.
Yeah. No, and those are always, I think, the best moments is when a character contradictions, because we as humans are very contradictory. So to have that idea of, like, I literally tried to kill you and I hate you, but you're my brother and I love you. And Dio's like, well, man.
Just let me eye laser you in peace.
Yeah, like, get in the coffin, you big lug. Yeah.
Also, an interesting thing, because you mentioned his little gremlin, Wei Fang. So he actually has a much bigger role in the manga, in that he's a fortune teller that basically foretells that Dio is going to be a massive fucking problem.
Yeah.
Because I think in the anime they have it as well, where he says, "Oh, Dio has like the 3 moles on his ear that make him it's sort of the mark of the devil, and make him prone to being like this." And so it's always funny how in the anime, the guy who basically like tells Dio of his fate is just like a random vampire friend that he has at one point, and like wheelchairs him around
In his Futurama head jar. Feeds him
exactly. Well, he literally also wheelchairs him around after the mansion burns down, and Dio goes to like charm Jack the Ripper because he's in a wheelchair. You just see Wei Fang in the background, just wheeling him in, like
let's
Jack
go, buddy.
the Ripper. Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, Dio's great. But yeah, that is funny. But yeah, did you have any other points on part 1, or can I bring my other hot take about part 1?
Well, I just want to give you like sort of the background, sort of how it was made, I guess.
Yeah,
just
go
so
for
you
it.
have a little more context. So Araki is one of the few people, and this is a hot take. I don't think many people would agree with me. I think Araki is one of the few true artists that I know sort of within my lifetime, in that he is someone who will prioritize his creative expression and sort of what he wants to like do creatively above anything else. If he wants to write a vampire story today, that's what you're getting, and he doesn't care if something is like a little weirdly paced or something doesn't line up properly. He just wants to tell you about vampires, or he learned today that if you freeze blood, this happens to it, so he wants to write a fight about that. And so a lot of his writing is very vibe-based. Case in point, part 1 happened because he decided he wanted a Victorian story, and he wanted sort of an English character to inhabit it, but he couldn't come up with a main character. So he realized, the restaurant I eat at every week with my editor is called Jonathan's. Aha! And so he just made Jonathan. Yeah. And he was like, but just Jonathan, people have 2 names usually. Jonathan Joestar, that's an English cool name. Let's go with it. And what's the series called? Jonathan Joestar, JoJo. So, yeah, it was very much sort of just, he wanted to tell a simple story about vampires, but he did it in his own sort of, I do what I want kind of way. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I always love that creative process idea. And yeah, no, I think that, but I think what also makes him admirable is, I know there's all the memes of like Araki forgot or whatever. And so I was expecting when I got to, jumping a little ahead, but I won't focus on it too long. But with like part 3, when we introduced stands, I was expecting like them to just like not mention Haman, but I'm like, but Joseph still uses it, so he didn't forget, he still has it. It's just not as useful.
I mean, the whole Araki forgets thing is, it's kind of like Horikoshi forgot the traitor, in that it's mostly very baseless. There are some instances where he genuinely just forgot. But most of the time he goes back and fixes them, either for the volume or the anime.
Right. It's more so in reference to like big things where it's like, even an idiot could have caught that, but Araki forgot. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, like, if he doesn't want to break, like, there are things later on where like the story does take weird turn, that it seems like it's omitting something. It usually has a reason. Like, part 5 has that, where there's a big controversial plot element where people are like, Araki forgot about this thing, but the reality is no, he was just depressed and realized that he didn't want to follow up on this plot twist because he thought it would make him more depressed because he liked his characters.
Yeah, so, you know. Really cool. I like that. And I think as long as you can keep it entertaining, like, that's what art's about.
Exactly.
To me anyway, is seeing like a world and to me art is all about like creating worlds and characters that you get to, like, people and places that you can't actually go or actually meet, but you get like the best version of it from that. You get to learn about that person through it. So like, I got to go to this bizarre, weird world of the JoJo world, and it didn't feel like, but this was just here because XYZ. It feels like it's coming from a person, and you get to experience a piece of them. So that's fun.
Yeah, but so what's your hot take about?
I think Dio is way more entertaining as just a rude rich boy than when he becomes a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's a hot take. I think there are quite a few people who continuously prefer Dio less the further they get into the
Okay.
story.
Good, because that's how I felt in part 1, was that once he became a vampire, I understand that it's kind of like an extension of like all power and all these things, but the way he acts about it does not like, there's not a moment where I can point to and be like, ah, this was an example of that, and that is a fun scene. It's more of like, if you think about it, you're like, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, sure, that's what it is. But there's not like a scene or a moment where I'm like, oh wow, he said this line before, and now he's reframed it as a vampire, and that means something to me in my brain. So I was just kind of like, yeah, he's a vampire boy. He wants to kill and suck and rule. So like to me, I just thought he was less interesting, but the voice acting carried him. So
Yeah.
and then the ending was good. The ending brought it back around.
Yeah, I think with Dio, it's sort of like he's a character that very often sort of gets by on sort of the bizarreness of his presence. You know, he has funny lines like, "Oh, how many breads have you eaten in your life?" You know,
Yeah.
things like that.
He's rule of cool.
Yeah, but he gets very little in terms of characterization that sort of ties him together. Which actually, and you may be interested to know this, there are some people who, when they talk about JoJo, they specify which Dio they're talking about, as in Part 1 Dio, Part 3 Dio, and then all the other versions of him that sort of spring up across the parts, because he is genuinely characterized quite differently depending on where he pops up.
Well, thankfully he has centuries to allow for that. So.
yeah, and I mean, to me, it's sort of one of those things where it's like, because we tend to see very little of him, considering sort of who he is to the story, the fact that a lot of it is contradictory has always made him more interesting to me. Where it's sort of like, okay, but how can this fit together?
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
you have poverty Dio in part 1, you have God complex Dio in part 3, and you have got, you know, other stuff coming down the line. And so like, how do you connect them? And how do you make up a version of the story where there is that sort of through line?
Yeah.
And I mean, one could be reductive and say, you know, the fans have to do the characterization, Araki didn't. But I think that's sort of where that Arakiism, sort of that personal note of JoJo comes in, where it's like, I don't think Araki just forgot about characterizing Dio. He wanted Dio to be a specific thing at specific points in time, and that's just sort of what he did. And then it's up to me to sort of find the rest, and I appreciate that.
Well, and to, you know, because I literally just made a statement that would be kind of similar to that, which would be the idea of, like, I think you have to fill in the blanks on your own for Vampire Dio to connect him to previous Dio in a way that's engaging for me. But as far as, like, the way he changes from Part 1 to Part 3, I agree with you, because I think that one detail of he was underwater for 100 years, just there you go. He could be whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
And so if, you know, if more time passes, or, you know, he dies at the end of Part 3, but obviously I know he's another thing, so if whatever reasons he comes back then, I don't think there's any reason to expect Dio to have to be consistent, because he is a character who is literally, like, jumping between points and times and stewing on his hatred, or, you know, all these different things. So I just think that Araki had a framing device that allowed for it. Because I do think there would be it would be weird if it was a continuous story in terms of, like, 1 year is, let's say it's about one JoJo, and instead of skipping 2 generations or, you know, however long, it's just like the next year we see Dio and he's completely changed. It's like, well, then it would kind of feel a bit weird. It's like, well, how do we get here? But 100 years is 100 years, and dying is dying.
That, and also a lot of Dio's versions that you sort of see about, either, they're separated by time or they're separated by narrator, because going forward in the story, you hear a lot of people's sort of experiences with Dio and sort of how they encountered him. And that's how he's sort of retroactively characterized. And so it's sort of, you have that additional barrier where it's like, okay, he acted a certain way towards, like, Jotaro and Jonathan, but how did he act towards a friend, like someone he trusted, for example, and stuff like that. So, I think Dio is one of those perfect examples of just how Araki approaches storytelling, where it's just like, yeah, this is what we're doing now, deal with it.
Yeah, and
Which I would like.
I think he does the due diligence to not just I guess insult your intelligence for it. I think he gives
Yes.
reasons, you know. But I think he is, like you said, he is dedicated. But what makes it good is he doesn't spend time trying to explain it to you. He gives a reason that is inherent to the implicit to the character, and yeah, you got to deal with it. But he's not so dismissive of you as a reader to be like, you liked Tama before? Joseph doesn't even know what that is in part 3.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like, you know, like he still has it. I'm just not going to do it as much. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everything I have about part 1, unless you have any more things you wanted to bring up.
No, I mean, part 1 is very much the sort of fan reception-wise, it's considered the first one, and that's kind of it. Like, it's just what you have to sort of get through to, well, not have to, what you should get through in order to sort of understand the story, but it's not something many people return to. Because my hot take is that part 1 is the weakest JoJo part. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, we'll see. We'll see how they discuss.
Okay.
For the most part, I think so, yes. Because it's just kind of like 3 episodes of really good, and then kind of just mid, and then like a pretty good ending, or a really good ending, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but it's also like short and sweet, so I don't know if that might, you know, have something to do with it. But overall, it doesn't reach for the highs of the other series. And I think that's what ultimately allows it to be the weakest, is that its lows I don't think are as lows as some of the lows I'll bring up later, but I think its highs aren't allowed to be as highs as the parts later that I might think have worse lows. So therefore, it's just the weakest.
Yeah, I think it's the one that sort of, as you said, its pendulum doesn't swing very strongly either way. Like, it doesn't have a lot of substance, it's not bad, it's not great, it's fine, it's fun, it's a fun time. There are absolutely worse ways to spend 9 episodes.
Absolutely. So, but yeah. Alright, then are we moving on to part 2?
Yes, part 2, sort of general impressions and thoughts.
So Joseph is the best Joestar. He's my boy. I love him, and he is perfect. Every single scene is enhanced by him existing and talking and being funny, and his English voice actor is great. He put grenades on a guy, and it failed, and then his response was, they were like, you have a plan now, right? He's like, well, obviously I have a plan. As you can see, his legs are really destroyed and disheveled, but my legs are in perfect condition, which means, and then he runs, and I'm like, he's 10 out of 10. He's a perfect character. He's a great thing. He's amazing. The part 2 is the Joseph story, and everything else is there to service him being the coolest guy who ever existed. So, I really like part 2. I don't love all of the certain aspects that are just kind of like, oh, it takes a little bit for things to get going at certain points. Like the whole Nazi section with Speedwagon and the guy trying to like get the Pillar Men and then explain that and blah 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 blah. Anytime that Joseph is not on screen, I am unhappy. But he is on screen for 90% of the time, so it's a good time.
Yes. You will be happy to find that you are not alone in this sentiment.
I assume not.
I want more plot.
Actually, it is a little more complicated because Joseph is everyone's favorite JoJo the first time they watch the series. But my experience with like people I've gotten into the series and people I've talked to is that the more sort of you revisit JoJo, the more you start liking other Joestars and sort of move away from Joseph.
True.
And my pet theory about that is that Joseph is a fun character. I think that's undeniable, right? Sure, you won't try to deny it. But I think he really benefits from the fact that he follows part 1, which, as we said, is fine, but it has very little about it that sort of sticks out and screams at you in terms of how good it is. You have Jonathan, who, while he's a good boy, quite a few people consider him a bit bland. Yeah. So you go from that to Joseph, you know, fucking shooting someone with a Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
And pulling out a machine gun.
And then at the very end going, oh, I lost my temper, Granny's gonna kill me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that enhances him quite a bit, to the point where he gets not to say an easy in, but he does get sort of a very quick favorite spot for a lot of people the first time around. Well, it's the same for me as well.
Well, I'll say this. I love all of the Joestars. Even Jonathan, I think, to an extent, I have like a light, like, ooh, hey, kiss on the cheek, I love you. You know, I love all the Joestars, and I think that, you know, as we keep going, I'll talk about why. But Joseph has not wavered at all in my mind, as far as the spot, because I think what makes him so good, isn't just like his energy, but it is like, to me, the absurd dorky charm of how he goes about it that I think is just leagues above anything else in the series that I've watched in terms of just charisma. And that might also be the voice acting. But I think his gimmick, for example, of, you know, you're about to say, Joseph, how did you pull this off? Joseph, how did you pull this off? Never gets old. That is always entertaining and endearing. But I think the best part about him is that he is the perfect character to have Haman. Because like I said, for him, Haman isn't like the power he's using. It's just an excuse for his harebrained schemes to like somewhat work in reality. Which I think is what makes him really cool, is that you put him up against the Pillarmen or whatever, and Araki has to constantly come up with clever solutions for how he's able to get out of these things. And each time, if there's just that one little bit that would scale believability, you just say, he put Haman into it. It's like, okay, we're good, we did it. And so like all of that, like the fact that he just like brought a Tommy gun to like that little bar or whatever and just shot that guy and didn't explain anything, and then he gets back up, he's like, I also put grenades on your back. He's like, motherfucker, I was talking, and then he explodes. And he's like, well, I blew up his legs, so now I'm running. And then, you know, he tries to bluff his way through things. So I think overall, his, it's not just that he contrasts Jonathan for me, it's just also that he is the archetype that I like, which is just like, it's like that Jackie Chan vibe that they always talk about, where like, in the fights with Jackie Chan, he always looks like he's one step away from dying, which is what makes you, even though you know he's going to win in the end and he's like a badass fighter, you know that he has to think 24/7, like, okay, I have to burn my hand here in order to set up this rope around this one guy and get stabbed 60 billion times on top of the spike pit, so that I can then look at the Pillar Man and go, hoo, you thought my plan was this, but you're a big dingus, and then they die. And then he goes, now I'm gonna go date a maid. So, and ultimately, that was the part that solidified him to me as being a cool guy. Is I love always the thing in stories where like there'll be like a side character or like a side thing where it's like, if that story just continued to play out, that would be kind of sad. But obviously, it's not the main story, so you just kind of allow it to happen. So when that maid girl gets like possessed or whatever, and then like he comes in at the end, and she's like, they're like, oh, we saved her, now we're gonna go fight the Pillarmen. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks for that girl that she's like disfigured now on her face, and like I guess she felt really bad and shitty. And then he's like, hey girl, remember that date? You know, fix yourself up, dollface. We're gonna go on a date when I get back. And then they just get married.
Yeah,
that's great.
and they crash his own funeral.
Yeah, they crash his own funeral, and he's like, babe, did I not tell you to telegram them that I was alive? She's like, ooh, whoopsie. He's like, I'll kill you. He's like, oh, honey, and then she's chasing him around the car. I'll let you know if at any point the Joseph love fades. But I've watched like 100 episodes of JoJo now, and it has not faded one bit. I love him more every day. So.
All right, excellent. Yeah, because I think I've had sort of an up and down relationship with Joseph. I really liked him when I first watched it. Then I really didn't like him for a while because I thought, oh, you know, what does he have besides being cool? And now I like him again because my guy, he's cool.
Well, he's funny too. Like he's just a funny boy. He's also a good boy too. So he's got the good boy traits. I mean, the very first thing he does is literally save a black kid from police brutality.
Same
and then gives him the wallet, and then he's just like, "You're my friend for the rest of your life now, and you can be rich, so let's hang out." Like, and I'm just like, "What a cool guy."
Yes. But okay, so we got Joseph covered. But what do you think of the actual plot of Part 2?
I think the plot of Part 2, it does its job well, which is that it is literally just setting up a bunch of boss fights for Joseph to be funny at. But also, like, I think the Pillarmen are just a cool concept. Like, I like the way that they can just, like, bend and contort their bodies. I'm generally, like, a fan of, like, the ancient evil archetype. Of, like, we were, like, gods of our era, and then we come to the new era, and we're, like, whoa, these crafty bastards, you know, that kind of thing, and they want to become gods. Like, I think for most people they don't like that because it's overplayed, but I just generally think it's cool. I like the idea of like a god rising basically from the dead from a previous era, and then the new generation has to like prove why they're wimps and losers. So that's a cool idea. I think you have the better extension of the honorable warrior type, with the one guy who puts the little ring inside Joseph, which was also, I think, a very good idea because for the most part, I think it could have got to the point of like, okay, sure, we're training, we want to save the world or whatever, because I live here. Okay, nice. But like putting those little rings inside Joseph gave a personal reason, because I want Joseph to keep being a funny man, and he can't do that if he's dead. So I thought that worked out really well. So generally the story of just, I mean, it very much feels just like a classic shonen story, like, you know, your Saint Beasts or whatever in Yu Yu Hakusho, where we go to a place and we gotta fight 4 guys and they want to destroy Demon Land or whatever. These three or 4 guys that came back to life, they're creepy weirdos, and we have to beat them for the sake of the world. I thought it worked, so.
Yeah, because, what did I want to say? Fuck that crap.
Sorry, I talked forever. I went to stay on you.
It's all good. I just, but yeah, no, I think what makes sort of the plot of part 2 fun is sort of, you have that sort of that road movie feel to it. That's always how I've looked at it, where it's like, today we're here, today we're in Rome, today we're in Venice, today we're in Switzerland, and oh no, final battle in Switzerland, which I do appreciate. You know, we are a non-canon country, so it is always fun for an author.
It's always nice when Araki was like, you know what, Oceans, I'm going to make you feel validated. I will try to destroy your place for once. Yes. Like, thank you. No one ever does.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was very cool of him to do, for me specifically, 15 years before I was born. That was really cool of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually what I wanted to say about sort of, because you mentioned sort of it is very shonen-y, one thing that you might be interested in is the fact that Lisa is generally considered among the first, if not the first, female fighter in Shonen Jump.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, which is, I can't confirm it because there's been a lot of series in Shonen Jump and how you define that is sort of iffy, but it's one of those factoids that comes up a lot and that has reasonable credibility based on the time span that part 2 was written in. And it is,
Lisa's cool.
Yeah, she's cool, and I really like sort of how that kickstarts Araki's love for strong women. Which sort of takes a backseat again in part 3, because part 3 is a testosterone part.
Yeah, it's the boys.
Yeah, it's the boys. But then, in part 4 already you have some more, and then part 5 you have a little less again, because it's testosterone part 2. And then part 6 is just like, you know what? All-female cast, baby.
Yeah, which I'm very excited for. Because like I said, I watched episode 1 of that, and I was like, I already like Jolene. They gave her a full backstory. This is great.
Yeah.
So, that's for later.
So part 2 is still, in my opinion, like part 1. It feels like Araki's still trying to figure the plot part of things out. And what's also interesting is that this is a part that Araki, because it was the first time he did like a next part for JoJo, this was something he was very nervous about, which you can see in the fact that Joseph, if he's not talking, he kind of just looks like Jonathan with a different hairstyle. And that is very much by design. Like, Araki specifically wanted to make sure that readers could look at like the cover and know this is still JoJo. And he regrets that. He's talked a lot about how he would now make Joseph look a lot different. Just give him different clothes and that different sort of facial structure. But, in his typical Araki fashion, he also just kind of goes, it is what it is. I made him like this. And
I think the anime helped, because I didn't see too much of Joseph.
That was Manami. Okay. Guess I'll continue this some other time.